Hi
Hello,
everyone.
greetings from Dharma Talk. So today we're going to talk about an interesting subject. Actually, I won't say the word interesting. I think you should use the word. I can't find that word to describe that.
Intimate, personal.
It could be, yes. It's very personal. I think we both have gone through that experience. We're going to talk about divorce. We've both gone through that. And let's go and share what are the lessons learned.
Yeah. So welcome to Dharma discussions, and I'm Lynn.
I'm
Jody. So we're husband and wives, and we are here to have conversations with you and topics which we find maybe a bit vulnerable, slightly personal, and intimate, sometimes a bit controversial. Yeah, we just thought it'd be nice topics that we could talk about. These are things that we also talk about privately. So we decided to bring what we discussed privately as a couple and bring it out on Facebook, really, and really have discussions with everyone. And the real idea of doing that is truly to connect with everyone here, as well as to connect with each other and connect within ourselves. I think that's one of the ways we find useful to learn and to grow.
Indeed, yes. After all, learning is a lifelong thing, isn't it? Okay.
So welcome everyone. And we really like the session to be interactive. So make comments, ask questions. And if you do not want to post it on this live video, you could always WhatsApp us anonymously. So let me just share that. Yep. You could actually WhatsApp us. I'm going to leave the number on the words, the text below, and you could WhatsApp us, and we won't mention your names, but we will ask, or we will talk about the questions that you ask.
It's 83689232. I think there's a typo in there.
Okay.
So we'll just redo that. Excuse us. 83689232. There you go. All right, so let's get the conversation going, shall we?
So we both are divorcees. We've been divorced before. I remember I recently went to a feng shui master. One of my forum mates has a feng shui master he's been going to for the last 18 years. And so I said, hey, okay, give me his contact. I want to go see him. I've not seen a feng shui guy for the last few years. So I went and I gave this guy my, 生辰八字, which is basically your birth date and your birth time. And I also gave Jody's to him. And then he asked me, are you guys married for the first time, or have you both, either one or both, been divorced before? So I found it really strange that why did he ask me such a question? So it seems like in my birth, in our results, when he calculates, the feng shui guy calculates stuff, it says that, it's best if we were both previously married and divorced, and this is our second marriage together, then it would be better for us, which is very interesting. And he asked me, you were married before when you were 25 to 35 for 10 years? For the 10 years, it's been tough, right, for you? So I was a bit like, wow, how did this guy know this from my chart, right? Somehow or other. It's so interesting that he could see that the 10 years that I had in my first marriage was really tough on me.
Okay.
Yeah, so I guess it comes to this topic, which is about divorce and really the journey that we've been on separately, and how it led us kind of like to each other.
Yes. So the process of actually having to go through divorce was quite painful. But the question is, why do we want to go through that in the first place? What were the factors that made you decide that you want to go through this?
Why did I get a divorce? I felt like I wasn't happy. Who would get a divorce when they're happy? So obviously I wasn't happy. I wasn't fulfilled. And as a result of the marriage not being a happy one, I think there was infidelity and stuff like that, which, things happen. But it wasn't because of that I got a divorce. I really felt like we are different. Our values are so different, and it just wouldn't work out now. It wouldn't work out in the future. And I was really prepared as a woman then to be by myself. I was prepared to be on my own, and I was only early 30s then when I decided to go for my divorce. And I felt like it was something I had to do. And some parts of me felt like if I wanted to do this, I better do it now than do it when I was going to be in my 50s. Was how I told myself. Like, I shouldn't wait till I'm in my 50s as a woman to do it. I should just get out of it now, was what I told myself. I was telling myself, maybe I may have a chance being 30s, then still got a chance for, for life or a second marriage. If I waited till I was 50s, I don't think I had a chance. I mean, that was just my own.
But when you say
self-talk.
chance, meaning that a chance to
remarry and stuff like that in my 50s or 60s, I didn't think I had a chance. I would have a lower chance. Maybe it's my business mind thinking. I don't know. It's just all this self-talk, So that's why I initiated the divorce in my marriage, my first marriage.
Okay. So do share with us, type us, what was the cause of your divorce if you have gone through that? So in my case, it didn't really cross my mind that I wanted to until I've gone through almost 7 years of marital counselings. Obviously, the marriage itself wasn't working as good or as well as I wanted it to be. But I thought, okay, which marriage was perfect and smooth,
exactly.
Right? So I did go through the whole marital counseling. And it was interesting. I remember the last counselor whom I saw, and she was asking me to describe how I felt about my marriage. So at the beginning stage, I think the energy or the emotions that I shared was pretty strong. I felt very disappointed. I was angry. I was disappointed, sad, frustrated, a lot of negative energy. And she had a smile on her face, and she said, "That's good." So I was wondering why.
Who? The counselor?
The counselor.
Okay.
She had a nod on her face and said, "Good." And I asked her why. I said, "You see, when there was still energy, be it negative or positive, you can still work on it, right?"
Yeah, you still bother to fight.
Yes, because it did mean something to me. Right?
Made sense. But
Yeah,
you still had the energy. You bothered to still get upset and still fight.
quite right. And I was upset not because of the whole process. I really had emotions for her, right? But until towards the end, I think unfortunately that kind of like burned out, and I felt null. So she told me the opposite of love is not angry.
It's not hate either.
Yes, it's just basically you felt nothing. And I knew that our marriage was over. But more so, I also felt that because of that, I turned out to be not a better man, but a worse person. Because I was stuck in a situation that I was really unhappy. I didn't see a future. And so I turned into a bad person.
Bad person like what?
Bad person
in
terms
like
like
a bad person.
I don't feel good. I didn't. There was no hope. There was a lot of anger, but that anger wasn't towards her, but more or less towards myself.
Angry at yourself.
Yes, I was angry at myself.
Yeah, I get that. Like I'm angry at myself as well. I'm upset with myself.
Yeah.
And so I learned that with my divorce, I had to forgive myself for the decisions I've made or the things that I've done. Even there were things that were done onto me, I still felt like I needed to also learn how to forgive him and forgive myself. The whole process needed to happen. And it took me some time, a few years, but it's something that was necessary.
It took me quite a while to actually realize that too. That whole forgiveness thing, right? Not just simply forgiving towards the person, but more so forgiving towards yourself. Ultimately, I think the one who gets really, really hurt was were the children.
Yeah, they're honestly the most innocent of all.
Yeah.
They never chose to come along, but they came
Yes. And they
through
somehow-
us, and somehow or other we didn't provide them that environment that we are supposed to give.
Yeah.
Again, it's an environment that we are supposed to give. It is not whether it's the right or the worse or the better. It's just what society expects of us. Father, mother, and children.
So on that note, would you have stayed if you had known in the
Know
marriage,
what?
had known that the children will suffer or they are suffering because of the separations?
I mean, I was aware that obviously I felt that it was better obviously for them to have a so-called, complete family as and so even after my divorce, for the first few years when kids were really young, they didn't know that we were divorced. They only knew it maybe 6 years ago.
Okay.
That's when they are much older. I mean, still old, maybe like 4 and 11, then 4. I forget they were like 6 to 10. So that's when they knew. Before that, when it happened, they didn't know. They just daddy is living overseas and working overseas. Daddy comes back and daddy sees us. Yeah, so they didn't know any better, and it was purposely done that way.
Okay.
And the good thing was I never fought with my ex-husband openly or badly in front of them. There were no drama in front, so they never felt it. I mean, I'm not saying there was no drama at all after, when they knew that we were divorced and things happened along the way with the parenting style. But other than that, in the beginning, I tried to keep it as drama-free as possible, and I think it was good then. At least the kids really had no idea that we were divorced.
So in my case, sadly, the kids actually felt that the two of us were not getting along.
That's very unfortunate. A lot of marriages are like that.
Yeah, which is very sad. I had no intention to actually blow up or to show that we were not together in that sense. But I knew the kids felt it. And so I was just asking around if is it better for us not to be together when we are clearly not happy, or it's better off for us to actually stay regardless?
I think in any relationships, there's ups and downs. I wouldn't want to let's split up or let's go our separate ways because I'm angry, or I'm angry for the 10th time, or I'm angry for the 50th time. I think at this point in my life, it's not something I would want to do, and I do not want my spouse to behave. But at the same time, I guess to know when is the time to let go. And for me, I think the most telling moment came on a couple of occasions. One was when I was going through a lawsuit with a business partner and a very dear friend. It was a very traumatic situation. And he didn't stand by me as my spouse. I felt like he forsaken me, and he blamed me for getting into that legal tussle. And even though we had a business together with both our names, somehow he managed to wiggle his way out of that lawsuit with that friend of mine. And he was out of it completely, scot-free. And I was alone fighting this case.
So you felt abandoned?
I felt like, oh my God, and I wasn't even in the wrong to begin with, okay? But even if I was, I would feel like I want my partner, my life partner, my husband to stand by me through thick and thin, regardless, sickness and health. I really believe in that. And I felt abandoned and forsaken. And I realized that this guy is not someone who will be with me through thick and thin. He's only with me if things are great, but he's not going to be with me when shit hits the roof. That's one thing. And I also felt like we have very different values. And it's so apparent, and it became more apparent because we worked together. I guess maybe I wouldn't have known it so quickly if we didn't work together and spend so much time together. If we just see each other, after work and stuff like that, maybe would have dragged the marriage on a bit longer. Dragged. I know for sure we would have split up because our value system is so different. So it was going to be a sooner or later thing. It just happened sooner because we see each other so much. I see how he is with, in most aspect of his life, vice versa. So, I guess that made it a bit more in my face.
Right. So in my case, I felt the same too. I when I was in my lowest time, I didn't feel that she was there to support, but more so to seek for more security. And I felt that what am I to you? Am I a partner, or am I actually just simply an ATM machine? And I didn't feel that support. I didn't feel the parenting. I think was another issue. Always me to be the bad guy. I wouldn't mind being the bad guy from time to be the disciplinary.
Good cop, bad cop.
Yes, it doesn't matter with that, but don't make me to be the bad person in front of the children. That's the part that I had a problem with. I will till today still protect that relationship.
I know.
Between her and her children, no matter what, I will protect that relationship. I think it's that children's life.
Interesting that you say her children and not our children.
Yeah. Well,
just saying.
Yes.
So there are many reasons why people divorce. We have ours, but I've also done some research that found out what the top 10 reasons for divorce.
What are they?
Okay, so one of the first ones, which I kind of guess is possible, is money. Money matters, and the way we manage money and how we deal with money, how we spend money, how we save or don't save money, or maybe someone getting into huge debt, things like that.
I must confess, I suffer that. I am very, very, very bad in managing money. Anyway.
So, you know what I believe? I told you before the saying, the test of a husband is when he has lots of money. And the test of the wife is when there is no money. So, there's no money is the test of the wife.
Okay. So what is the second one?
Okay, so money, okay, fine. That's one of them. It could be accumulation, by the way. Yeah. It's not like, and not one is more than the other. Okay, lack of intimacy.
Oh, yes.
Because when we say intimacy is obviously partly sex, it could be just emotional intimacy, not just sex. Partly, I'm sure sex is one of them.
But I'm sure the two of them are linked, right? You can't just simply have sex without.
Oh, you can. You said, but that's
lust. But it is between you and someone else. It's not in a marriage.
Correct. That's true. Yeah. So lack of intimacy. I've spoken to many couples, friends who are going through a rough patch or going through divorce. Somehow they come turn to me like I'm some kind of divorce whisperer, which is fine. I always free my time up for women or men, friends of mine, female or male friends of mine who, come to me to seek one-on-one sessions just to talk to me. And I happily make time out for so many of them. And one of the things that is common, the thread that's common within is really that they have no sex. So I also learned from all these courses that sex is like the report card of a marriage.
Yes.
It's the report card of the marriage in terms of quality, not really much the quantity, but the quality. The fact that you're intimate, that's the report card. And you can see that those are going through really tough patches. They're not intimate and have not been intimate for a very long time.
Yes.
You're talking about really not frequent, not common, and it's not the usual. I mean, if you're usually not like that, I'm talking about you used to be really intimate frequently, and now you're like barren,
Yeah, that's exactly what happened to me in my case.
Me too. For years.
So what?
Oh, did I get pregnant again? I don't know.
So one of the counselors basically said, and I remember this, you better make love to your spouse, if not, someone else will.
She told the wife? Or she told the husband?
Well, she told both of us, right? Yeah, it is important.
I also think that. I also tell them, just go have sex with your husband. What's so bad about it? Oh, I'm so upset with him. I upset him this, upset that. Okay. Just put it aside for a while. Some problems cannot be resolved over one night or one day or 1 week. You can resolve it once you get, sexual healing.
But anyway, it's a good point to look into it, actually. If there is no intimacy and you think you're fine,
it's really
actually,
the report card. The report card is telling you there's a red flag, something is not right. The grades are showing this. So must really get, what they call enrichment program, is it? They call it remedial class.
Okay.
Go get remedial class and get intimate again. Okay, next. Okay, this is obviously like abuse and addiction. Abuse meaning like physical, emotional, mental addictions like alcohol addiction, gambling addiction, drug addictions, etc. These are a big no. I mean, if you had this problem, I want to help you get through it. But up to a certain point, I need to have my own self-love and be a mother to protect my kids and walk out, depending on how bad the situation, how dangerous it is. So it's not that I don't love my husband or love you anymore, but it's really a point where, when does it stop? When does this overgiving stops? That I need to love myself, I need to protect my kids.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think both ways is fair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Lack of compatibility.
Interesting. Tell me more about this one.
I read this statement, I think about myself. And it's through my recovery or through my healing process with my divorce. I always say that my ex-husband was the best thing that happened to me then. Like, I was 19 when we first got together. We were together for 5 years. We got married. We had 2 kids. I guess 19-year-old Lynn and 25-year-old Lynn, and it's different from now the 40-over-year-old Lynn. It's different from the 35-year-old Lynn. It's different, So I guess we were compatible then, in that sense. I just came out of school. I was in my first job, and then I run a business now, coming 17, 18 years. So my life has kind of evolved in a different trajectory. And it would have been nice if we could have been together on this journey harmoniously and being real partners versus being like, I feel sometimes we're competing. I feel like he's competing, or somehow there's a competition going on, and I don't understand why. So we were not in sync together. We were like this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I've also known couples when they first started, they were really compatible, madly in love. But one of them,
really well.
Yeah, but one of them just simply advanced to a level of which they no longer are able to even have to hold a conversation. Yeah. One stays and the other one just evolved, right?
Yeah, I don't think it's just we move differently, and it became more apparent when we run business together that how our value system is so different. So that kind of drives a wedge, and then we start to see ourselves like that. I see me and my ex, but I know what you mean. Like sometimes you see that with couples where one is working and out in the world and one is always at home and doesn't seem to make an effort to get out or be part of the external world.
Exactly.
Her world is only herself and maybe the kids.
Yeah.
And sometimes it works out well, but sometimes then she doesn't get the same wavelength anymore with her husband or wife, whichever, who goes out there and does all these things.
Yes. It works both ways. Not necessarily just simply a housewife. I have also met couples, both husband and wife. They're both working. They're working couples, but one advanced far more and has more exposure to the world, and the other kind of like stay the same. And as a result, simply in terms of intellectually, when they communicate.
Was she the female?
Yeah, the female actually was way more advanced.
You see,
I've also
why I brought that up? I guess it's always a problem. I don't know, is it a cultural thing in Asia? But like the female earning more, being a more powerful position, seen as stronger, makes the man feel bad. And I had this huge problem with my ex, like huge problem.
Yeah, well, in that case, it wasn't the male complaining. It was the female who was complaining about the male.
This could be both ways too, right? Like they say, they don't find their husbands as attractive because maybe when they go out there, they see all these men who are like, wow, so intellectual, so manly, I don't know what else she sees. And then this husband who she met in school, who's this sweet little guy, who's just the same sweet little guy. I don't know. So it's all the different permutations, I guess. Yeah. So the compatibility thing starts to become very obvious.
Yeah.
You know, I'm in an organization where there's a lot of male entrepreneurs, and it's very apparent. I can notice it very quickly whether they bring their wives out with them. Some of them just don't. I mean, a small percentage, but some of them just don't. You know they're married, but you've never seen the wife. You never heard of them. You never seen them. They're like hidden in one corner. It's not. They don't share that part of their lives together. So he does his own thing, and she does their own thing. Their only common point could be just the home affairs. Kids, and that's it. They don't really have a life together. They just have touch points, I call it. But some are okay with it, and that's fine, right?
Okay.
Fifth reason, physical appearance.
All right.
Yeah, that's what happened to me as well, I think.
What do you mean?
I think when I read this, I was a bit shocked, but I guess I wasn't surprised because I was also blamed, for being fat. I was like, I cheated because you were so fat. Something like that.
Oh. Yeah. So you were not fat before?
No, I was fat. That's the reason why he cheated.
Oh, okay.
Because I was so overweight after having 2 kids and running a business. I didn't take care of myself, and I was truly overweight. That's true. I was close to 100 kg for a while after my second daughter. I mean, the problem I have and still do at times is that I put everyone before me. I put work, I put business, my family, my kids, my husband, of course, and I'm like the last. So like, I got no time for myself. I got so much more things I got to do that's more important than, exercising. And I don't have the genes where after you give birth, you go back to your thin self. I'm never thin. I have genes where you give birth, you really got to put a lot of effort to get slimmer. If not, it's not going to happen. And he's got different genes. He's very lucky. He's the same size since he was 18. And we live the same lifestyle. Like, we work together, we eat together, we eat the same things together. I don't have an unhealthier lifestyle than him, but he's just got luckier genes than me. But somehow, because of my overweight, physical appearance, and it affected him apparently. So so that's possible. Physical appearance.
Yeah, physical appearance. I think that is one part, but the other part is also: do you actually try to make an effort to make yourself look attractive for your spouse? I think that is also equally important. Right? Do you actually pay attention not just to how I look, but do I want to look attractive for you?
I mean, I'm in a business where I sell hair care and skincare, so I make some effort to, make my hair look nice and put on some makeup. That's as far as it goes. But yes, I did not make an extra effort to stay skinny and slim, and I did not do that.
Okay.
I really believe that, when you marry someone, it's really for better or for worse, right? I was thinking that if he's going to be fat and bald, I would still love him. And I felt very naive after that to think that.
Yeah, true. If it's just the appearance, but ultimately, I do think that staying in a healthy lifestyle is important.
Yeah. Agreed.
So the last thing, and also that attractiveness needs to be there. I need to pay attention to how I look. It does have an effect.
Yeah, maybe I didn't make an effort to flirt or things like that. I can't remember, honestly. It's been some time.
Yeah, besides, that's what I will keep on reminding you. Say, hey, let's go out for a date night. And it's important to make each other feel attractive. Yeah,
and then for me to dress up really pretty.
Yeah.
And go out like we're going on a date.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's important.
But it is one of the factors.
It's so sad though, superficial, but yet I came to terms with it after my first divorce.
Okay.
Sixth, they got married too young, which I think is similar case where you're too young and yet you're not the same person.
That's true, but Okay, look, my great-grandmother, she was married when she was 15 years old.
Oh.
Or 15, 16 years old. Yeah. And she was never divorced.
I've got friends who've been married since they were like secondary school or JC. JC is like 18 and all the way. Same, one woman, one husband, happy. Other. You guys hit a jackpot, okay? Hit the jackpot. I had to kiss many frogs.
Okay, so there you go. So what does getting married too young mean?
I felt like for me, maybe, like I said, when I was 19, I was a 19-year-old Lynn. When I was 25, I was 25-year-old Lynn. When I'm 30, etc., etc. So maybe I haven't found myself yet. And somehow we were together. Some couples, like I said, hit the jackpot. They're able to go around like that together. But I was struggling and he was struggling. I guess we were all like going like that, you know. So the path was not easy.
Okay.
Yeah. If I could have just lived in a sexless, loveless marriage, I would still have been married with him. But
So-
I chose to leave because it's not what I want for my life.
So in this case, when it says getting married too young, probably you didn't know what you get yourself into.
Yeah, maybe. Or you were just, like I said, like I still say, like my ex was good for me then. For my 19-year-old Lynn, he was the best thing that happened to me. He's awesome. He's great. He was really the most awesome guy that I knew and I was going out with when I was 19. Even at 25, to me, he was the best thing ever.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you get married, understand what you are getting yourself into, and are you ready for that?
Who knows?
Well, I think one would need to know what are you getting yourself into so you can prepare yourself and then have that conversation again with your partner. Is this the path that we want to go through? Because after all, once you get married, it's not just you, right?
Yeah.
It is the community that you impact.
Yeah, that's true.
Goes wrong.
Community, the kids, the parents,
Friends.
Friends. Yeah, I lost friends. Friends had to take sides.
Yeah.
Not that we forced them to, but somehow sides were taken.
Yeah.
And naturally, if you're going to be very close to my ex, I would then therefore be very distant from you.
Yeah.
So then we lose friends along the way as well. So yeah, that happens.
All right. So
7th reason. Oh, you got married for the wrong reasons.
Oh yeah. Particularly when you get someone else is pregnant, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I've known of people who did that, and they felt so obligated to society or their family or their parents. Like, I need to get married just to have this child. I'm like, go have your child. When must we get married? If he's meant for you, you can marry him 2-3 years later.
Well, that is true. So do get married for the right reason, and what would be the right reason in your definition?
I would marry someone. I marry you. I married you because one, I'm in love with you. I feel like you're someone who is there for me, who accepts me for who I am, and truly accepts me for who I am. For the very first time in my life, I felt like I could just be me, and therefore it was so freeing, and I could just do anything I want.
Yeah.
So I think that for me was my biggest thing why I would marry you, why I married you. Yeah.
Yep. But in my case, I felt that not only I can be myself, I also felt that you actually helped me to make me to be a better version of me, right? So
I'm so pushy, you know.
Well, it's not about the pushy part. I mean, I've had girlfriends in the past that were pushy too, but it does bring the better version of me, and I'm okay with that. I'm good, and I think that's the reason why we decided to get married.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So number 8.
Okay. Number 8. Number 8 is lack of communication. This happens to even for us sometimes. It's just communication breakdown. I see it happen in couples. We get so busy with our stuff and our deadlines. We don't communicate enough. We don't communicate well enough. Yeah. So that happens.
This is the lack of. It's not just the miscommunication.
So there's a lack of.
Yeah, I think it's the willingness to. Are we okay to talk about it? To talk about everything? It doesn't have to be right now, but at one point we need to bring it up, and we are okay to actually have a conversation.
And like this is what I feel different with our relationship. I would, because again, it stems from the fact that I feel accepted for who I am, that I know you love me no matter what. It gives me the courage to tell you the things that I'm not happy about, or the things that I fear. And knowing that you won't take it the wrong way. In the past, it's always taken the wrong way. And I don't know how much I must explain myself, but he never gets it the way I'm trying to tell him. But you always get where I'm coming from. And you seem to, I feel you understand me explicitly, and like I would say close to 100%, which to me is great, because I feel like at least you hear me and you're with me. You may not have to agree with me, but at least you hear where I'm coming from.
Yes.
And that's really good enough for me,
Yeah, I think the part of listening is very important. I had a talk last week about the power of listening. It is very, very important when you listen to someone. It's not just simply listening with all the facts, but also give your full attention, undivided attention, listen with your heart as well. And then listen for just one thing, just to understand. Yeah. And not to have any judgment. You don't have to have solutions. Absorb all the information before you come to a judgment. I think that is one lesson that I have learned throughout my past.
I think some couples need to learn how to speak to each other. They can't. I've seen some couples who, when they open their mouth, they see that they're always bickering.
Yes, I think that's one key point.
And like maybe they could just learn how to communicate a bit better, so that the words don't come out so harsh and it's a bit more neutral. At least maybe it can't be so very loving, but can be a bit neutral.
Well, I think the words is an end result, is the mindset, right? So if you're not happy when you want to say something about it, I think look through the facts and then just simply put it out. This is from my point of view. This is what I see. Have an open mind that give the other person a benefit of a doubt, instead of just lash out and put the blame on the other person, and it come out as an accusation. Right?
Yeah. Like then when you accuse me of something, I would naturally defend,
right? Likewise, I would do exactly the same. And I find that you don't do that. You don't come out and lash out. Well, maybe you did, but you will manage to say, okay, rewind. Let me just do that again. Yeah. So I think that form of communication exists in our relationship.
And I feel that you not just you see me, but you appreciate the things that I do, because I do a lot for my work and my family. But I feel like you see what I do when you appreciate it. I try to cook something, though I'm busy. I can just not cook an extra meal, but I do it because I know you will like it and things like that. You always seem very happy and appreciative about it, which makes me feel good.
Yeah, naturally, I'm a very grateful person.
Yeah, I didn't get that before. So
all right.
It's nice when you do something for someone and they see it and they appreciate it, And for someone like me, it's acknowledgement is important. It's my thing.
Yes, for her, yes, it is.
It's my thing.
Acknowledgement, it is important.
And I didn't. So number 9.
Lack of
equality. Yeah. So what would that mean? Lack of equality.
Well, only if both,
like a chauvinistic husband.
Yeah, but if the wife is happy about it, if she likes to be bossed around, that's fine too, right?
It's fine. Yeah, they have they play out those roles. What they call
or a very bossy wife.
Yeah, and some husbands are fine with it. That's fine. It's when they are not fine with it, and then they start to fight, and then things a bit
But I think it's not about just the equality, but it's the respect we have for each other.
Yeah.
And we do know at what time who plays what role. Some cases you will take the lead and I will follow, and in some cases I will take the lead and then you will follow, and we have that mutual respect for each other.
And I also think equality could be like equality in terms of equal share in terms of giving in the household. Like if I felt very resentful in the past when I had to work in my business, and I had to do all the household chores, and I started to take care of the kids, and I'm like,
Yeah.
so that's, I mean, to me also, that's also a lack of equality. Like, there's no, the balancing skills like this. It's never going to be like that. It's always like this, and I'm always doing everything.
Okay. I think my mother trained me well in that aspect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you know, sometimes guys, they don't automatic now. They're not auto. So your women must also can like press button.
Yes.
They are not automatic one. I have not seen many automatic men. So, darling, can you please go and do that? You go and do that.
Yes.
So I think it's not fair if you don't tell them and then you get upset with them, because sometimes honestly they don't seem to know. They're not automatic, so you need to go and tell them.
So I always say that I'm grateful that I'm a good listener, but I can't read minds. So unless you tell me, I wouldn't know.
Yeah. So I also learned not to become like that, like get upset with him for not doing something which I feel like you should know. So like, can you please do that? Then he does it, and that's it. It's done. So I don't have to get upset about something which I think he should know. Why shouldn't he know? He should know better, kind of situation. I just darling, can you please go and settle this? Can you please go and help me do this? I really cannot manage. Then he does it. So okay, done. So the household is managed. You know, the home is managed, which is what we all want, right? Peace and harmony.
Yeah. So these are the 9 reasons.
That's 10.
Oh, there are 10. What is the last one?
Lack of self-identity.
This is an interesting one.
It's interesting, but yet you don't see it appearing. Like, you ask people for the reasons why they are divorced. This is not one of those that will pop up.
But I think this is
I feel it's one of the main reasons, like hidden behind money, or hidden behind infidelity, or hidden behind lack of intimacy. Maybe the core reason, one of them is really this.
Yes.
Before it leads to that, it's actually this, where you lost yourself.
But the ultimate question is, do you know who you are? Have you been able to be yourself in the first place?
For me, I didn't lose myself. I just couldn't be myself. I had to force myself to be in a certain way in order to keep the marriage. So I had to choose, do I be Lynn, or does Lynn have to behave in a more submissive, subservient? And I had to make a conscious effort to not be myself, because I know that by doing so, it would make it better for him. That felt like a lack of self-identity in that sense, where I can't be me because I'm not accepted. That's how I felt.
No, you can't possibly accept someone before you accept yourself. You can't possibly know someone unless you really know yourself first. So I know it sounds selfish, but no, I call it self-full. You do need to know yourself first and accept who you are before you can accept the other person.
One of the things that made me help me accept the person that I am was after my divorce, of course, and I was going through that Gallup Clifton Strengths Finder exercise. We had that done, and I
wasn't her coach.
No, but now he's a coach now because we love that program. But then I just did it one day. It's an EO event, and our friend Ken Cole was the coach. He's a coach way before you, and he did it for us. And I had the 5 strengths that came out from me, and the 5 strengths were, wow, it's like that is me, and it was such a great acknowledgement that these are my natural born, like innate strengths or talents.
They call it talent theme. So it's your innate given nature, something that you're good at. It can also be your biggest weaknesses.
Yeah, because you use too much of it. I get that.
You use too much, or you misuse it, right?
Misuse it. But the fact that they were mine, and I've been trying to suppress them, and what I felt after that whole exercise was just fully embracing my true nature and who I am, and stop trying to work on my weaknesses, the bottom of the list. Like, these are the things I'm really not good at, and trying so hard to be more like that, when I really need to learn how to enhance and nurture my strengths and really use them well. So that program was kind of like an aha moment for me as an individual.
Yes.
That I can step into, like, I felt I was literally stepping into myself. Like, there's a frame, and Lynn just stepped inside that frame and own it. And that program helped me a lot. And that's why we like it. I say, go be a coach. Go and help other people fill up that space, like the frame. Just this is me.
Yeah.
That was that.
The beauty of that is it actually helps you to become a better version of you, and instead of changing who you are. So I think that's important.
Yeah. So that's the 10 reasons.
Hmm.
Do you guys agree? Is there more? I don't know. This is something I just kind of Googled around, and these are the top 10 common reasons why people get a divorce.
Yeah. So if you have your views, type it into the chat box and let us have a look at it.
Very quiet crowd today.
Yes.
Every week we have lots of like comments and stuff, but today like so quiet, no? Okay.
We do have a few people joining us though.
It's quite a lot, but all quietly watching us. So I feel a bit okay, fine. Moving along. Okay, so you did go for marriage counseling. You said
I did. I did gone through many for many years. Yes, from one counselor to another, to another, to another. I did. I went through counseling on my own as well.
Okay, so like this like therapy session actually.
It wasn't a therapy session. It really was a counseling session seeking for my direction. So it's pre, during, and post.
Okay. I remember I went for counseling while planning the divorce. So we kind of had to have a third party to manage us so that we could split up amicably.
Oh, that's mediation.
Not quite. It's really a marriage counselor, but she's there to help you get together nicely or to even separate nicely.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah, so that's something that I encourage. I say either way, don't rush to anything. Go and see a marriage counselor because you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing to have a third party, a professional to basically come in and give you some good advice.
Yeah, and because you never know what's going to happen. I always believe that, I speak to so many of my friends who wanted to get a divorce because they've had it with their spouse, they've had it with their wives or vice versa, or had it with each other. And I'm like, there's no rush the only time you rush to get out is when I feel like it's
when you have the physical abuse.
Yes, it's dangerous. You or your kids are in a situation where it's, where someone's going to get hurt physically or abused badly. Then you get out like ASAP, right? But other than that,
yes.
I'm talking about abuse and addictions type, but other than those, everything else, just take your time. Like really take your time, and even if you really must go, I advise my women that they must plan.
Okay.
Like plan it well, especially when you have kids. You cannot rush into things like that.
There's no rush into it.
I rushed it, so I'm speaking from experience that it's not the way to go.
Yeah.
Like really, there's a better way to do it, and
have a mature adult conversations. Have an expert third party to come in and help to mediate this conversation.
If it's possible, let's say it takes both of us to be wanting to be amicable. That's why a lot of divorce end up really nasty.
Oh, like mine.
Mine wasn't. I don't feel mine was. It was really smooth and as amicable as it can come.
Yeah. Don't
talk about the post now, but just talk about when we were going through divorce. It was really quite pleasant.
That was good. But I have come across many couples in their separation, it made them to be better, and they end up to be good friends. I have known quite a few of them who are like that, and I think that's a very mature way of handling this.
Yeah, especially when you have kids. If you have no kids, it's clean cut. Okay, bye. You can go your way. I never have to see you again. Okay, that's the easy one. But when you have kids, right, which you plan to be in their lives, which most of us would, then I remember I told my ex-husband, like, hey, boyfriends or girlfriends, they come and go, but we, like it or not, we're kind of stuck for life because of our kids. We're linked and we're stuck. So let's be as amicable as we can. We don't have to be BFFs, but let's make it really easy and nice going because we really have no choice. Why would you want to make things difficult and ugly? So I had to swallow, whatever's in the past is the past. for the sake of our future, which is as long as our kids shall live, or we shall live, literally, we kind of have to make things pleasant. Not every time you see each other, you're gonna like have this whole like energy, the energy they give out, like, oh, he's here again. Oh, blah, blah, blah. It just feels so.
No, I think when you still have that energy, you still have some attachment, some emotion.
Yeah, you could be still attached to the pain or the, the injustice or whatever. I didn't get out of it nice. A lot of things I felt was not nice and very unjust to me. But
you felt that way.
Oh yeah, definitely. But yet, I'm telling you, it's possible to just, really like make it as amicable as possible. Because you have kids and you kind of have to be in each other's life. So there's no point in getting so acrimonious about things.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I feel as much as possible. And it's not easy. All the divorces are all uniquely different. Some husbands are really nice. They give the wives everything they want and more because they can afford it or because they are generous in heart and they would give whatever the ex-wife and the kids want. Some really have no money, then no choice. Some really have a lot but don't want to give you a single cent.
Yeah.
So things like that can happen. So we all need to be very calm about making such decisions.
Yeah.
And take our time and don't rush through a divorce.
Yeah. So really have a good, mature, civilized conversation and think about.
It doesn't have to be nasty.
It doesn't have to be nasty, no.
Yeah, I told my kids, like, I used to love your father as my husband. Because they kept asking me why you're divorced, right, when they were much older. And I said, no, I just love him as my friend. I don't love him as my husband anymore.
That's what you told them?
Correct.
Okay.
So that they don't feel like because like you said that there's no love, they feel that there must be hate. So they don't understand now and all these things. They're too young, 10 years old and stuff.
Oh,
Yeah, so the only way is to tell them that I still love him, but as a friend. They can understand that because they love their friends too. Yeah, so that helped them as a young child to kind of, okay, not that bad. But still they were not spared from their parents being a bit, feisty with each other when it comes to like stuff.
Yes, it does affect them because I do see that.
I have to admit, yeah.
Yeah, I do see that they do suffer, and having that, having to make a choice, which side do I need to stand on? Instead of I can love both my father and my mother, and yet seeing them fighting, to a certain extent, making them feel that is it partially my fault? And then if I choose to be on mom's side, am I going to be upset in that? If I choose to be on that side, I'm going to upset mom. And that dilemma for children to bear is just hard. And that is not fair. And that is one of the reasons why I stay out of this relationship, because every single time when I try to get connected
with your kids, right?
And then the mother was not happy, not comfortable. And as a result, and then they are the one who's going to get all the pressure. Right? I'm sure intentionally nobody wants to have that done, but just be aware and be conscious about it. And if there is, try to pay attention and just rein yourself down.
So knowing what you now know, after what you've been through, what would you have done differently, Jody?
A lot of things, I think.
I've learned so much. I can start a course. I can be seriously like expert.
So I think when it comes to the divorce itself, I think it is already too late. Right?
Okay.
But just be aware of the journey throughout. I think the key word is listen before anything. Listen to the person, listen to yourself, and just be honest about it and have that communication.
Yeah, I've learned a lot, and I've also learned a lot in the Singapore law, and I'm not sure about everyone else, but I can only speak on Singapore law, what has what would be good. Like one of the things I realized after being the one who takes care of the kids, so I'm the care
and control, yeah.
And during my divorce, I naturally took that on. Like, I think I was the better parent. I thought that as a woman, naturally it has to be me, because that's what the whole world expects, and that's what I also believed. But after doing this for the last 10 over years, it's not. I feel like I made a mistake.
Yeah, that's the reason why we're parents, right?
Yeah, I felt I made a mistake, that I thought too highly of myself. I really believe I was the better parent, but I never really gave him a chance. He's not a bad father. I should have done a co-parenting arrangement. And people don't want to do that because it's troublesome for the kids and all, but the kids are so adaptable. Because when I didn't do that and I had to do it for 10 years on my own, it's really not easy, people.
No.
It's not easy. It's tough. And at moments you question yourself, like, what the hell am I doing this for?
Yeah.
There's no appreciation. They're too young. There's nothing. And when you don't get the support from your ex, it's even harder to juggle so many things. So I really felt like, why did I take it? And I remember, and I think back to when that happened, it was a no-brainer to him, to me. It's like, oh, the mother would take the kids. I'm like, no, the dad can take the kids, or we can have them both. We just figure out a different way.
Quite right.
And I don't agree that the woman should take it all. Now that I've done it myself, I don't agree with it. Yeah, I'm not saying I'm going to abandon my kids now. I just felt like I took it on with that belief that it's my responsibility because I'm the woman and I'm the mother. But I don't agree with it at all. And if I do it again, I would have done the divorce papers better.
Yeah, maybe
like
if you
the
actually
whole thing,
had,
I would have. I just felt like, because I come to the conclusion, I felt that I was the better parent. So
your ego comes into the way.
So I think that's what got in the way.
Yeah. Be very conscious of this, and hence that medical counselor, despite the fact that you are already no longer parents when you're divorced, you still have to go through that counseling, understanding what will be the role, how do you play off, and have that conversation. What are you happy with, and what are you
I think
okay
the post-divorce with kids counseling must be there, and it has to go on for several years.
I think so too.
Because it's tough to co-parent when you're not together, and then now we are like blended families and etc. etc. So all these things needs to come to play and needs to be discussed and talked about, like mature adults sitting together.
Yeah.
And I think it's definitely possible, but we need to be conscious that we actually need someone to sit us down to talk. And in our situation, we're quite lucky because we have you between me and my ex. Because sometimes the both of us, when we come together, we're still banging because we have past memory.
Past memory.
Like muscle memory, where you assume that, maybe he assumes that Lynn is thinking this because that's what she used to do. And I would think that, oh, he is doing that because he's always like that. So we have our past things. I mean, naturally, right? We can't get rid of it because we have been through with each other so many years. So we always assume that there's something about him, or he assumed about me. So it's
your biased perception.
We are biased, and it's hard. Even if I'm not, but he thinks I am, or it still happens from time to time. So I think it's always important that we have someone or a counselor who could help with this on a regular basis, maybe quarterly or with the kids, with the kids who are, so that they all know, and they try to have a lot more love and peace and connection between everyone, because I believe he wants the kids to be happy and well. So I also want the same thing, but we don't achieve it. We don't get to achieve it like that because we get so much things along the way, our own life, our own stuff that happened, plus biasness and shit. So communication is not smooth.
Yeah, I think the bias really gets to the way. The ego too. I want to be right. So we are quite fortunate in that case. So I do get along really, really well, and I with the children's father, and we have great respect for each other. He is a very good father, a very loving father to the children. And I'm also very grateful that he trusted me. I can look after and be the parent. And surprisingly, so people do think that we were couples when we talk about children. We text each other on a daily basis almost.
Yeah, because sometimes I'm so busy. I'm like, you and him, both of you go in for the parent-teacher talk.
Yeah, that's what she said. I'm always
So
busy.
I'm busy. So the two guys will go together. And then him with his long hair, people look at them like, ooh, interesting couple. Coming for the parent-teacher talk.
Yeah, just be aware of that ego, that bias.
Yeah. Like I said, I think it's both ways, and it cannot be helped because of the past.
Yes, true.
Yeah, so
It's
that's
true.
what I feel like. There's so much more things that were done differently, but these two things came to mind first.
Oh, Sean has sent us a note, and he said yes, he would have listened more. Definitely, I think listening, the power of listening, it's key. Before we jump into
Not
anything.
just listening, but listening without filters and judgment. I could listen to you, but I'm ready to attack.
No, that's what you are hearing.
Oh.
And you're listening with an agenda.
Yeah, true.
And so if you actually attended my course last week,
I did.
yeah, that listening is the undivided attention, listening without any form of agenda.
Yeah.
Okay.
And any final words?
Any final words? Yeah, divorce is a sad thing, but it's not necessarily a bad thing.
No.
Rather than having two very unhappy people being together, if that is the last resort, that the two of you are better off not to be together, it's better to have to go through this process, but go through it maturely, civilizedly. Because ultimately, when the two of us got married, it's not just the two of us. There is a community of people who get impacted. And likewise, as we are separated, they will do the same thing.
It's true. So my final words is that I think divorce is definitely part of my life which I had to go through. But having been through it, I feel a lot more wise, and I feel I became better because of what I had to go through for myself overall in so many ways. So I've become a better version of myself because of my divorce. I'm not the best version, but I feel I'm so much better. I'm much better and wiser, at least I would think, in relationship-related matters. And then coming to us, I'm able to learn from what didn't do well. And one of the things is I could easily just keep blaming my ex on the failure of it, but I think the ultimate point was when I took responsibility for my end of the divorce. So the divorce really is both parties. You want to push more or less the fact that it took two, and I also felt like I had my own part to play. And when I could own that, it was big. So then by owning that, I would then be able to then realize what I need to do better. Because I didn't, the last thing I want is to get into another relationship and repeat the whole thing again.
I think that is what karma is, isn't it? You will have to keep on living with that until you learn the lesson.
Yeah. So I think one of my biggest thing was to accept that I also had my own role to play that contributed to the result. Yeah. So that was I guess is my final words.
Good. Well, so thank you for joining us. We've got a few good friends here joining us. I see Dominic. Sean, as always. Who else is with us? Aman, Mandy, Jeffrey, Edward. Lovely. Thank you for being here. And Rachel.
I think, that's my friend.
Okay.
So we're going to have a session. You're going to have another of your sessions.
Yes, I'm going to talk about leadership. How we actually define it.
Friday. Yes, so on Friday, Jody will be back for his masterclass program. It's a short one, like maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes max kind of session.
Yeah, bite-sized.
Yeah. So it's a bite. It's a small little bite. Leadership redefined. That's what it is.
Okay, so do join me for that session.
What's that talk about? What are you talking about, Jody?
Well, as always, leadership, but what does it actually mean? How do you define leadership? What is expected to be a leader?
Okay, so 2 o'clock on Friday.
2 o'clock on Friday, 2nd of October.
2nd October, 2 o'clock, 2. So
Good.
you can catch him then. And next Saturday, we won't be back. We're
Yes.
taking a break. We've been doing this for the last 6, 7 Saturdays, 8. I can't remember. I lost count.
However, do drop us a line if you have any topics that you wish us to talk about.
Yeah, or talk again.
Yes. So there was one in my head we're thinking about. How about, is it okay for us to have a separate relationship, a friendship with someone else
opposite
who is
sex.
of the opposite gender?
Ah.
So that came out during the time when we talked about
Flirting
flirting.
last week.
So that could be a topic we could explore further. Are there anything that you guys
Just
feel?
inspire us with more topics.
Drop us a line and
Just give us, just put some comments there or DM us on Facebook or WhatsApp us so that we could come up with more topics.
Okay, good. Well, thank you and have a nice weekend.
Have a great weekend. Bye.
Bye.
Everyone.